Well, breaking news right now, firefighters order evacuations for the area around Riverside State Park as a wildfire burns near northwest Spokane. The Aubrey fire has now burned about 50 acres. Meanwhile, the smoke from the fire was visible for miles. This is a live look right now from our downtown Spokane camera where we could see the smoke billowing high above the city. And when it comes to Mother Nature outside, of course, it has been very dry throughout our region. We're also tracking those wind speeds. The latest happening right now on KREM 2 News. Thanks for making KREM 2 News at 6 your news source on this Sunday. I'm Cody Proctor. Let's go now to that breaking news tonight. There are level 2 evacuations right now for a wildfire burning in the Riverside State Park area. The Aubrey fire near Indian Bluff Road prompted level 3 evacuations earlier this afternoon. They have now been lowered. Let's take a live look at those current evacuations at this very hour. The areas that are seen right here in the yellow, those are the level 2 B set evacuation areas. That area right there in the green are under level 1 be ready evacuation levels. The evacuations have included areas include Indian Bluff Road, West Rim Lane, Equestrian Lane between Spokane River and 9 Mile Road, north of the VA hospital and south of 7 Mile Road. Now, right now tonight, we have team coverage as we continue tracking the developments in the Aubrey fire. We begin tonight with KREM 2's Laura Papetti, who is near the command post where firefighters are heading out to fight that fire tonight. Laura, what can you tell us?
Well, right now there are over 100 firefighters working the fire scene. We're just off of Government Way here, and I want to show you something that's happening behind me. In the distance, you can see obviously the fire and the smoke behind me, but you can see that helicopter working there. It's actually the lone helicopter working at this hour, but at one point, several helicopters were working along with some fixed wings, dumping water on that fire to get a handle on things. But at this hour, still over 100 firefighters working on it, and they just had to deal with a little bit of a spot fire, but I've been told they have that under control. They are working to get a line around it, but at this point, no containment to report. And if I don't know how much you can see in the distance, but they just dropped fire on that, just dropped the water on that fire, and they will go now back out to the river and continue to do that. But as you imagine, a tough scene throughout the day as people saw smoke from miles away. Hot and windy this afternoon when that fire broke out and they got the call, having to rush to the scene with, again, several aircraft working it, dozens of firefighters trying to make sure they got a handle on things. At one point, there were level 3 evacuations, as you noted. Those have been reduced now, level 2 and level 1 evacuations in place. But at one point, of course, people had to get out. It was a scary situation because in this area behind me, a lot of grass. You can see obviously some timber. It was really the lower timber, and we'll talk with the DNR department about that in just a few moments, what was burning. But on that ridge over there, of course, homes in that area. So it was scary at one point, but we've been told that right now, no reports that anything was damaged in terms of structures as they continue to get a handle on things late this evening, now that we're in the 6 o'clock hour. I want to bring in Guy Gifford with the Department of Natural Resources, who has been out here as the PIO working the fire. We appreciate you, Guy, being out here. Tell us right now at this moment, what are we looking at over here?
We're still looking at fire about 50 acres in size. That forward progression has stopped. So they got a lot of water. They got the bulldozers working around that fire as well as hand crews trying to get that fire trail on it to make sure it doesn't go anywhere overnight.
And no reports of any structures damaged at this point, and it sounds like they're lowering evacuations, so obviously they feel like they're starting to get a handle on things.
Yeah, they are getting a handle on things, and there has been no reported damage to structures yet, and we released some air resources because they aren't needed right now, and so things are looking better. The smoke is definitely reduced from what it was earlier.
Because people could see it obviously from miles today, and at one point a very scary situation because this is, even though it looks right behind me like it's not, it is a populated area in these parts.
Yeah, what people can't really see is all the homes on top of the hillside there. That neighborhood community has a lot of homes up there that were threatened by that fire, and that's where that level 3 evacuation was.
All right, so looking forward to tonight. We were talking about before, the helicopters don't work in the evening hours, but they can be called back in, certainly if needed, come tomorrow morning.
Yeah, the air resource will be available tomorrow, and they'll have some engines out there all night, and they'll have a lot of resources in here tomorrow to begin what we call that mop-up phase, making sure every single heat is put out within that fire perimeter.
And something to note before I sign off here, the wind has certainly died down. It was a different scenario this afternoon.
It was a different scenario. It was relatively light, but it's still shifting. Anytime we get those shifting winds, it causes fire direction to change on us, which is always a challenge for fighting fires.
All right, Guy, thank you. Thanks for being with us tonight. Again, one last look before I sign off here. As you can see, the helicopter in the distance and the fire that continues, obviously, to be a challenge for firefighters. But as you heard, forward progression has stopped. They have gotten a little bit of a handle on things, and we'll continue to track that along with the Department of Natural Resources here from the command post. In the meantime, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Laura, thank you so much. And again, you can see that look of the smoke out there, and that smoke from the fire was visible all the way from North Spokane to downtown. A viewer shared these photos with us of the column of smoke from North Indian Trail earlier this afternoon. If you have any photos or video to share, you can text them to us at 509-448-2000. Meanwhile, our live coverage continues from Dwight Merkle Park. That is just right across the river from the fire. KREM 2's Christian Garza is now joining us live. And Christian, at this moment, what can you see right now?
Yeah, Cody, we're here on Northwest Boulevard, like you said, just kind of right across the river from what the fire is looking like as of right now. I'm actually going to pan the camera over here, our photojournalist is rather, and we're going to show you kind of what we're seeing from this side of the hill. So really, it's that wall of smoke that Laura was talking about. And this is just kind of a died down version of it. I will say we got on scene at around 4 p.m. today, maybe a little bit earlier, and it was a lot more smoke than this. So this is kind of a died down, watered down version of kind of what we saw earlier today in terms of smoke here in this very area. Now, I'm at an area where there was a lot of viewers. There was a lot of people, bystanders, if you would, just kind of watching the efforts and stuff like that. The different helicopters, the different firefighters that were there working on that fire. There was a ton of different people here. I actually spoke to a resident off camera who didn't want to be on camera, but she was saying that she actually lives down there by the Nom Nom in the area. She says that at around 3:30 this afternoon, fire crews came around and told her that she had to evacuate her house for those level 3 evacuations that have since been downgraded to level 2 evacuations. She says that people were spraying their houses with water and were leaving the area very hastily. She says getting out of that area in general earlier this afternoon was actually a nightmare. But like I said, we are here just across the river, and this is just kind of what we are seeing right now. But I also spoke to a couple of other people who actually saw the smoke firsthand, went down to the fire area because they have work there, or they were actually just camping in the area. Take a listen to those people.
I mean, obviously you went down there, but you said you didn't really see too much. But so when you're here on this hill, kind of looking at the damage right now, kind of what's going through your head right now?
I don't know. It looks worse than I thought it would look looking at it from over here, you know, because I didn't see a whole lot of smoke down there, and we originally thought it was by the rifle club. And then we didn't see any smoke down there, and now there's a lot of smoke here, so I'm just hoping they can get it all taken care of.
We looked across the river, and there was a plume of smoke, and one of my friends has a fire app and looked at it, and this was 8 minutes into the fire. And so we stood there and watched it for a little while as it started to spread, and then the planes started coming, dropping water, and the helicopters, and we were just filming it and with our phones and stuff, and then we could hear he got an alert that it was evacuation in the park.
Now, like we said earlier at the very beginning, and like Laura had mentioned, those level 3 evacuations have since been downgraded to level 2 evacuations in that area as crews work to build that perimeter around the area so that way it doesn't spread. Now, there also is a Red Cross temporary evacuation center at Salk Middle School for families that were affected by this fire and don't want to return to the area until it is fully contained. And also a note just from first responders and law enforcement in the area that I had a chance to talk to who were here on Northwest Boulevard. They say, you know, in situations like this and in areas like this where there are level 3 evacuations and people are trying to leave, but also first responders are trying to get there to help everybody, those who are not, affected by the areas and bystanders and whatnot need to clear the area so that way there isn't a ton of congestion for people trying to get in there and help or trying to evacuate with those level 3 evacuations. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Christian, thank you so much. And we're going to continue to bring you the latest on this developing breaking situation tonight. Now, of course, one thing that really plays a factor in all of this when it comes to our breaking coverage is, of course, our weather. As we take a look at what we're seeing right now with our downtown camera over right now on through our weather center, where we're keeping track of temperatures, you can see that smoke coming in or off in the distance from downtown Spokane right there. And right now, when it comes to our current conditions, we're at 82 degrees over at the Spokane airport. Now, those winds are coming out of the west at 7 miles per hour, but take a look at that relative humidity right there and that dew point. We're not seeing a lot of moisture in the atmosphere out there, meaning it is dry at this time. So keeping a close eye on those conditions. And as we check in with our current wind speeds, of course, when we track fire weather, winds always tend to play a factor. And you even heard Guy Gifford with the Department of Natural Resources talking about the winds that we were seeing. They were relatively light, but they have been shifting, and that usually causes issues. One thing that we're seeing throughout the rest of the region, some lighter wind speeds as well. Current temperatures throughout our region, not as hot as what we sometimes see for this time of year. We're actually looking at temperatures right now in the low 80s throughout our region. But as we check out where those conditions are, you can see where that area of that wildfire has been in relation to downtown Spokane. But we do have some good news when it comes to our wind speeds. Those are looking to get better, but where that fire's at, not great news considering we're seeing those moderate drought conditions. But again, some good news. We're looking at some lighter winds as we head into the rest of the evening. That will hopefully help out with those conditions. But as we head into the next 3 days, take a look at this. We're looking at those temperatures continuing to warm up into the rest of this week. And the National Weather Service for Spokane has just issued a fire weather watch for Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday night. So we're going to continue to keep a close eye on those conditions. In the meantime, be sure to stay with us tonight. We still have a lot more news to cover here on KREM 2 News tonight, including when a wildfire swept through central Idaho's forest last fall. They actually left behind far more than just charred trees. Why human intervention was needed to save 4 black bear cubs in tonight's Environment Northwest.